de ver.
I got up this morning and remembered a lot of things that transpired on the other dimensions last night. And I should have written them down and put them on tape because I've lost some of them now. That isn't your daughter, is it?
No, this is my sister.
Her sister, I was going to say, she's sure grown. Yeah, I remember you being here now. Anyway, I lose track of time, so it doesn't mean anything to me. There was a very high teacher that was talking to us last night, all of us, while we were resting from our body. And as I was just, I sometimes meditate in the conscious state, and that's when I hear all these things that come, from the other dimensions and from the previous night, and that's what happened this morning. Now, in the meditation class that you're going to come to, and Andrea's, where's Andrea? Oh, there you are. Couldn't see you for that sweater. Andrea's both of you guys are going to come to the meditation class. I'm going to talk about one of the things in meditation is that we do these techniques to get our vibrations correct, and then we tune in. See, that's what the meditation class is all about, is doing the techniques. And but that's what happened anyway. And there was much transpired that, and I was told I should turn the tape recorder on, but I didn't. The title tonight is called Healing the Planet. And the writing starts out by saying, many like not the lessons and experiences they choose to learn this incarnation, so they take it out on someone else. Often it is the planet that gets the brunt of their frustrations. Giving no thought as to the effects of their thoughts, words, and actions, mankind goes on his way oblivious to the damage to the environment. This departure from the perfection that God is, is the creator of the lower dimensions. Would you like me to read that again? Okay. Thinking about when he came out of the Godhead. This departure from the perfection that God is the creator of the lower dimensions. As you took your first thought separate from God, you started a chain reaction that brought into being planes of existence that you could manifest on according to the vibratory rate your thoughts produced. Now here's something that's real interesting. The perfect healing of your dimension is when it no longer excuse me, let me read it over. The perfect healing of your dimension is when it will no longer have a need to exist. You will then have raised your frequency to a level that is non-existent on this plane. As we move back towards the Godhead, our Garden of Eden, we no longer have need for the experiences on the lower dimensions. In your thoughts of soul growth, realize your experiences on higher levels as more than this one. I know it's quite heavy. Did you understand it? You'll have a chance to ask questions about it anyway. Let's have a quiet time before we start. As we relax our bodies and our minds, let us use our inner image to see this circle of light as getting brighter and brighter, and our thoughts moving upward to the higher levels of divine love and light. And in this beautiful light, we begin to discern some forms coming forward. These are the teachers of these higher dimensions that are making the contact. They're reaching down as we reach up, and we're making the contact with these higher dimensions. Let us feel this as one entity. Think of this circle as one entity. We are all here in one accord. And when we're in one accord, that attracts these higher beings, these masters of these lower levels that live on these very high dimensions. Also remember those in the balcony that have come from dimensions in between this one and the higher dimensions, that are in between incarnations and are learning by sitting in on our class. There are many, many more than in the physical. Perhaps 10, 20 times more individuals. Some of them are close friends. Some of them are friends that we have known in the past that we're not conscious of now. Many who did not have the opportunity to come to a group like this when they were in the physical. Let us feel one with ourselves, with each other, and their teachers, and all those on other dimensions of light and love. Thank you, Father. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don coming to you from these realms of love and light. It is such a privilege to be your doorkeeper and to be here with you in spirit and in love, and not in physical, because my opportunities are no longer in that realm where you are, but I am here with you just as much as you are here with each other. And so are these others that Donald calls the balcony. And I want to tell you tonight that there's a dear one from a very high level who has worked with a few groups on this planet and a few other planets in this way. And this is an entity that no longer considers themselves male or female. They have gone beyond that thought of gender. And I want to introduce this one now. And some of you are thinking of a name, and this one says that the name is not important because it could not be brought down into your language. I now release. Good evening, my dear ones. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you in this circle of your light and to join with you in God's work and God's love. I tell you, throughout the universe, there are many such as you who make contact with different dimensions. When you get to a certain level, you will be able to manifest on a planet where you are consciously aware of these other dimensions. I want you to know this because it is important for you to understand the different levels that you can attain throughout even this incarnation. You can become aware of these different dimensions. They are much different in the sense that they are more subtle than your dimension. And as you realize this, then you are able to relax enough and take your thoughts from the physical plane so that you can move into an awareness, shall we say, of the higher dimensions. This is important for someone is interrupting me to say that Donald does have a class to teach you to make contact with your teachers and guides on these dimensions. It is important for, my dear ones, you will some time in your growth come to these levels. As you move forward in your growth on this dimension, and you can raise your thoughts to these higher levels, you will be able to, shall we say, become accustomed to them. I have been learning several languages in other parts of your planet and other planets, and I have to remember to speak your language. I tell you, my dear ones, there will come a day soon, and when I say soon, we measure time so completely different than you do, but there will come a place in your growth where you will not have to be involved with language that is almost completely involved with duality and is illusion. But it is what you are, where you are, and it is our privilege to lower the vibrations that we manifest on and learn your language so that we can make this contact with you and for you to be aware. Yes, some of you were with us on these higher levels as your body rested from your spirit. And Donald remembered some of this, and you too can learn to do this. This is another class I am told that Donald has. In these classes, some of you learn these things and some of you learn a little of them. But I tell you, my dear ones, the more you can know about your spiritual self, the easier your physical life will be. As you realize that everything has to be generated from the Godhead, the God Self, the highest point of consciousness in the universe, and comes down dimension by dimension to your dimension, you realize where the source lies. And when you are striving to attain something, whether it is in your physical work or whether it's soul's growth or whatever, when you understand that you have to go to the source for the power to generate the understanding and wisdom that brings about this growth and raise in consciousness that you desire. Everyone here has a great desire to raise your consciousness, to grow spiritually, as you would say, to move above and beyond this physical level of illusion and understand the deeper meanings of life that is yours for the taking, my dear ones, when you open your minds to them. In doing this, you will have to give up some of your thoughts about life that you have been programmed with on your physical plane. And in some of the classes you have taken here and other places, you have learned to turn loose of the false beliefs about life and move in to the righteous thought, the right useness of the law, the understanding of the reality of life. As the writing suggested, there will come a place in consciousness. I am trying to eliminate your words time and space. There will become a place in consciousness where your dimension here will be no longer needed when everyone has learned the lessons that they need to learn on this. You see, you came out of the Godhead through your own volition. You desired to have experiences in a different way on different dimensions. And as you took your first thoughts separate from the Father, we, I should say, because we are all in this together, as we took our first thought from the Father, it became a reaction that brought about the existence of a dimension just below the Godhead, or in your Bible it says the Garden of Eden, whichever phrase you would like to use to make sense to your understanding. But as you did this, you gradually brought this dimension into being through separate thoughts from the perfection that God is. This word perfection is another erroneous word, because there is no place in life where everything is static, that where you have arrived and there's nowhere else to go. This is illusion. And your understanding of this word perfection denotes this, that you have arrived. But let me say, as may have been explained to you, you perfect this dimension, and then you move on up to another dimension and perfect the understanding on it. Just as you go to school, you go to the first grade, the second grade, and on up through however far you go in your formal education on the physical plane. It is a similar thing with your soul's growth, my dear ones. As you learn to understand and overcome the illusions of this physical plane through understanding the spiritual truths, then you no longer need to incarnate on this level. And for you, then this dimension has ended. There may be many, many others who are still experiencing on this dimension, but for you it is no longer needed. And so you move upward on the ladder, back home, your real home, one with God. This is not what you think of as your times on other dimensions in between incarnations. It is when you complete all of your understandings and then you are back home, one with God. In your sense of time that you understand, this would take eons and eons and eons and eons of time. But you see, my dear ones, as you move upward, time, as you think of it, goes much more rapidly. And you move in a state of consciousness that you experience, what you would think of as a day, you would experience maybe several years in that length of time, because your consciousness is much higher, your frequency is much higher, and you do not have to be tangled up with a language and words that take so long to convey the understanding. You see, and it will come about while you're still on this plane, when you do away with talking, and you will transfer your thoughts to each other. And on a higher dimension, as you go upward, let me make a correct statement here. The communication system will be a little higher on every dimension you move up. You will use different things that you have no concept of now to communicate. Now your next step is to eliminate using the voice box and speaking in language, and the next step is thought transference. But as you move upward, there will be much more than this, and it will be much more rapid. Think how much more rapid you will be able to communicate right now on this dimension when you eliminate talking and your language and you transfer a thought to someone that would take a few seconds, that may take a few hours to say in words. So as you move upward in these higher dimensions, you use different ways of communication, and you do not have to label them. On your realm, you number and label things because you are involved with time and space. And as you move upward, you begin to realize that you're not separate from each other. You truly are not, my dear ones. You appear to be because you're manifesting in that shell you call a body, and you appear to be separate from each other. But as you move upward, you realize your oneness with all life. And whatever group of entities or level of dimension that you're involved with, you will realize the oneness. And all of your understanding, and maybe there will be several thousand in a group, will come together, and you will have this understanding of each other without the separation of words and the misunderstanding of what a word means, because it will be a communication on a much higher level. As you learn to bring forth the messages such as Donald was speaking about from the other dimensions, you will be able to receive impressions. You will be able to receive understanding. You see, let me explain it to you this way. Last night, and I'm not used to dealing in time, but last night or the night before, and maybe even another night, we were preparing for this class, and we were not speaking in words and language. And you see, your conscious awareness was not that aware of it. Some of you may have brought back some of it. Donald brought back a little bit this morning, but not that much. It seemed like a lot to him, but it really was not that much compared to what we shared on these higher dimensions. Now, Donald's job is to bring this forward and put it into words and language to communicate to your conscious awareness on your physical level. But you, my dear ones, can do this for yourself. You can learn to tune in to these dimensions and receive these impressions, and they most of the time will not be in words and language, but you will bring them down into your conscious awareness in words and language so that your conscious mind can understand what was conveyed to you. And so you are limited, you see, to your understanding of the language, to your ability to bring this communication down to your physical plane. The point of this class tonight is to help you to start thinking of communicating in a much higher way than just language and words and using your voice box. Even your thoughts, see, is in words. Most of your thoughts are in words, not all of them. But start thinking and allowing yourself to bring down this understanding from these higher levels in a different frame of communication and understand it in your conscious mind. And some of it separate from language, separate from words. There is so much to share with you, and it excites us when we are able to make this contact with you and bring this understanding to your dimension and to you who are open for it. You see, my dear ones, there are many besides this self and Donald and Gadan who are making this channel possible. There are other beings of light who are sharing their energies, God's love, to bring about this contact. For it is, shall we say, and in your language I have to say, a far piece from where you are, using the duality words again. But the frequency on our dimension is much, much higher, and so it has to be brought down step by step by step, and each entity who is helping brings it down to another dimension, to where it is transferred into your language, into words. And as your planet is healed, it is a matter of your healing yourself. As you have been told, your planet is an entity just as you are, and its time has come to be lifted up and Christed in this next 2,000 years that you call the Golden Age or the Aquarian Age. And as this is done, you who move higher in consciousness can stay with the planet. You may reincarnate several times, or you may stay in the same body for 1,000 years or more, according to your level of spiritual understanding and your ability to regenerate yourself and keep your thoughts in the right place, so that you do not deteriorate your physical body. This is the most opportune time to be in the physical in the history of your planet. And many, many have come from all over the universe to experience the raise in consciousness of your planet. The planet as it is now, as it has been since its birth, has been a dark reflecting planet. Now it is being raised up to a self-illuminating planet. Take yourself, take each entity on this planet. Are you generating your own life force? In true reality, God is giving you the power to exist. God's love, God's energy, God's life force, whatever you want to call it, is maintaining yourself on all dimensions of your being. There will come a time when you learn to generate your power from within. And as you move upward in consciousness and upward into some of these other dimensions, this will become more, the ability to do this will become easier for you to do. There are few on your planet who does this now. You call them masters. They are not known to you consciously, and they do not care to be known. They are here to help keep the balance on your planet, and they have such great love that they are willing to maintain a physical body on your planet so that they can be a channel. And when one becomes a master of this plane and is in tune with the life forces of the universe, they can project great power in great qualities and quantities. And so maybe there are 6 that, or maybe 7, not more than that maintain their physical body and do this while your planet is going through these great changes to keep the balance so that you do not have such great cataclysmic occurrences that have been predicted, or at least when, if you do have them, they will not be so drastic as has been predicted. You are going through some of these now on your planet. I have watched for the last few years and have seen changes in your weather patterns and in many things. Your economy is one, my dear ones, that is changing, and it is frightening. Many people, not just in your country, but in many countries, some countries have not known anything but poverty for a long time. But there is changes in many ways coming about on your planet. And when you maintain your spiritual understanding that God is your source of supply and the only source of your supply of anything that you need, then you need not be concerned, for life is abundant, everywhere present, as you have, as one of your teachers has brought into your language. Life is God, and God is life. So God is everywhere present. He's inside of you. He's on the chair that you're sitting on. He's in the carpet and the walls of this building and the trees. There's nothing that exists that is not God. So as you understand this and realize it, then you need not have fear of lack. For in true reality, my dear ones, on your planet there is no lack, except as you have created it in your thoughts. And in some countries it has been generated over many centuries, and they are stuck in a poverty consciousness. And as soon as you, the masses of you, release this new word that recession, yes, you call it recession. In true reality, my dear ones, there is more abundance than there was 10, 20 years ago, because life is continually expanding and bursting into more of itself. But when you measure this and you measure that and you count up this in your marketplace and you put this out in your media and your television, and everyone picks up these thoughts of lack, then you create the lack. But that, my dear ones, is not real. It's illusion. You who know the truth, hold fast to your understanding of the reality of abundance, because life is abundant. There is no lack in life. It is constantly expanding and bursting into more of itself, in you, in everything else that exists. Now, there is an exception, I am corrected. On your plane, it is in a state of decay, because it is illusion. It is something that you brought into existence and is here for your growth. It is in a state of decay because it is here while you need it. These experiences that you need to overcome. And as you overcome these illusions of experience, then do you grow and expand and realize that there is no lack, and you move above and beyond the physical plane and the understanding of the marketplace that is just a game, really, and is created for those who have an insatiable habit of greed, and they control for a time. But you see, this will turn back upon them. You have us, for your karmic word, you have what goes around comes around. And this will turn back upon itself in those who have cornered the market and have learned to displace material wealth and things, money, that they hoard it. And they don't need that when other people are going hungry. But they feel that it gives them power. And for your physical plane, it appears that they have power. But my dear ones, if you could see how fast life is moving from the plane that I live on, that power is just but a few seconds in the sense of eternity, and they have lost it. And when they come to these other dimensions, if they have not given any thought to their soul and to their spirituality, they will be indeed in poverty here on the lower realms, for they do not have any way to identify with the reality of their being. All they have identified with is the illusions of this physical plane. It seems that I have been talking for quite a while in your sense of time, and now maybe I should relent and let you speak as you wish. And Donald is concerned about the tape if someone is keeping the time on the tape.
I'm watching the time.
Yes. Are there thoughts that you would express tonight? Or questions?
I have a question. What are the various means of communication that we can use now to understand those things which
Yes.
we do in our sleep state?
Say it louder and speak again so it will all get on the tape.
What are those means of communications that we have available to us right now, so we can understand what we do when we are in our so-called sleep state?
Yes. The ability to learn to use images and impressions and understanding without words. And this is something that you could practice. And as your meditation class, I understand, is coming up, you will do different techniques and it was this self that inspired Donald to say what he did about that. You will do the techniques to get your mind centered and stilled to where you can receive these impressions. I cannot go any farther than that, much more farther than that, with your language, for there you do not have the words to go any higher. But in your sleep state, depending on where your level of awareness, your spiritual level that you're vibrating at now, you automatically, when you leave your body, go to that dimension. And so you are communicating according to that certain dimension. Right now, your practice could be, while you sit down to be quiet and have time with the inner self of you that is God, is to receive impressions of love without words, peace as a feeling, a oneness. You see, I have to use words to explain it to you, but when you go within yourself to have this experience, conjure up, it's not a very good word maybe, but bring into your inner image the feelings, the emotions, maybe some a little emotion, things that do not relate to your language, but do communicate to your inner self. As you practice this, my dear, this will increase, and you will be able to understand the things that we are projecting to your teachers and guides and all those who help you from these dimensions. You will be able to bring those in to your conscious understanding without the words and the language. Does this help your understanding of this?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes. It is difficult to relay this to you in your words and language because it is beyond your words and language. It is very subtle. Are there other thoughts or questions? Is my message tonight too much for you? Does it seem too much for you to grasp at this time? You're being awfully silent. I visited you last week when I think you had just 3 in your audience besides Donald, and there was much communication. Do not be concerned about what other people might think of you, or afraid to ask questions, but go ahead and get your feet wet, as your saying goes, and let your self express whatever you choose to ask, so that your understanding may increase. Some of you, when you heard that this dimension would sometime cease to exist, were concerned about this. Do not be concerned, my dear ones, because all dimensions will at some place in consciousness cease to exist, and you'll be back in the Garden of Eden, or the Godhead, and one with God, even in thought. And you will stay for several eons of what you think of as time, and then maybe you will come out on a higher cycle and have some experiences in a different way than you did on the cycle that you're on now. And there will come a time when you will generate the life force from within yourself without the Father's life to sustain you, and you will then become a God in your full right. This may seem like too much for some of you. Some of you have heard this before. Do not be concerned about things that seem too far out or are too much for you. This talk tonight is planting seeds. And even though it may be beyond some of your comprehensions, or you cannot accept it, or seem to be unable to accept it, try not to reject it completely. But as Donald has said, put it on the shelf. Put it somewhere where later on you can come back and look at it again when you have grown a ways and have a better understanding.
I have another question.
Yes.
You were speaking of this dimension ceasing to exist here. Now, is this the only place at this time that we have the experience of time and space, or are there other?
No, there are many other planets, and and it's difficult to say this because you see, this dimension includes all of the physical plane, and this includes many, many other planets in your universe that are vibrating at a similar rate to yours. And many of them are involved with the concept of duality. It is a step that I have taken in the past, just as you are involved with the concept of duality and do not really know how to go beyond it completely as yet, but you will know. And there are many, many others in the universe that are involved in a similar state of understanding. Each planet now is completely different. Not completely, that's the wrong word, is different than every other planet. But some of the planets have similarities, such as the concept of duality. And they have a lot in common. In your love spending, I would ask you to, when you send love to this planet and to the situations of this planet, to include all other planets like it in the whole universe. And as you do, you see the power of God's love is multiplied many times. And it only takes a few seconds for you to think these thoughts. And as you think these thoughts, God's helpers carry this love all over the universe. My dear ones, if you could but see the power that you have at your fingertips, you would be amazed. Some of you are using the art of sending love, and this is one of the most powerful things in the universe. Continue to do this, and do it more often, and let it be multiplied many times by including all other situations or planets or individuals in the whole of life. I use Donald's experiences not to lift him higher than you, because none of you are higher or lower than any other. But Donald has come to realize in the past few years that there are many other universes in life besides yours. And this is another thing that is maybe too much for some of you. But the words that he uses in his love spending is he sends God's love to the whole universe several times a day, and then says to all other universes in the whole of life. So if you care to, you might include that. And when he sends love to each individual on this planet, and to the planet, and the world leaders, and to the situations that are happening, the trouble spots on the planet, he includes all other planets like it in the whole of life, not just in this universe, but in the whole of life. And so you see, it is multiplied many times. And as I am told that that you have been told, that he has been given the understanding that your love spending can be multiplied many times by God's helpers, God's angels, if you ask for it. You see, your free will is involved, and such a subtle thing that you must ask each time. And when you send God's love unlabeled, multiplied many times by God's heavenly hosts, as the way Donald puts it, then it is. It is, because you are all one. You are not separated. And when you understand this, then the angels in heaven sing praises unto God for your understanding, that you know that you are one with the whole family of life, not just your country, not just your planet, but all of life. Are there other thoughts or questions that you would
I
ask?
have a question about the duality of the planet.
Yes.
I was always under the assumption that planet Earth was the only planet with duality. So if indeed other planets have duality, what determines what planet we come into to learn the lessons of life?
Whatever is needed for your individual, and you are different than anyone in the whole universe, and let us say the concept of duality, because it is not a reality. It is just a concept that on this dimension you have decided, I want to own this piece of property that has so many feet or so many miles wide and so many miles long and so forth. And so that's a concept of time and space, which is duality. And you've also been taught of good and evil. And in true reality, there is no good or evil, which it goes completely against your early programming. And when you decide that you do not have to feel guilty about anything in the past or anything that might happen in the future, you see, you'll be living in the present moment. But yes, there are every planet is different and has different experiences, but there are many planets who are caught up in this concept of duality. And it is not bad, 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 because there is no bad or good. It just is. It is one of the experiences that you have asked for, and you've chosen this particular planet from a very high level through the eyes of the lords of karma, who can see so much more than you might, even when you are in between incarnations on a higher level. And they give you their understanding and help you to choose the planet or the plane or whatever you are going to manifest in your growth when you have a rest in between incarnations or in between dimensions. Does this help your understanding, my dear?